Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to make some sourdough. So if you missed my sourdough starter video, go check that out. It should be right about there. And then you can see how I made this guy. He is looking good. Look at all those bubbles. Um, so we are ready to get started. Now this is going to take a while today based on this recipe. So just bear with me. But the first thing we need to do is I fed my starter last night. It said to make sure that your starter was at its peak activity, its active peak. So I fed it last night. It's morning here, so I'm going to get started. I need 100 grams of my starter in my bowl. I've got my bowl all set up on my scale. I'm just going to get 100 grams of starter. Those of you who watched my starter recipe or starter video know that this is my first experience with starter dough or with sourdough. I have not done it at all. I've had some, but I've never made it. So this is different. Okay, that's 100 grams. Is I need to add water. Okay, so add cool water, or it says blood temperature water. So that's kind of a weird descriptor to me. But we've got 350 milliliters of blood temperature water. It says or a little warmer. Mine's probably on the little warmer size. And mix until combined. Because the starter is going to be a little chunky. Now, it did say to preferably use glass, but I don't have a big glass mixing bowl. I guess you could see the bubbles on the side through the container. But I don't have one, so this is going to have to do. It doesn't necessarily say, like, if it should be, like, not chunky. It just says mix until combined. I don't know. I'm afraid, I don't know if I can damage the starter by flattening it. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. So, I mean, it's not, like, obviously uniform, but it's, clearly colored the water. So we're going to get going here. So it says add white flour. So I needed 450 grams of bread flour, and I have 50 grams of wholemeal. You could either use spelt, wholemeal, or rye flour, and I went with like a wholemeal or whole wheat flour today. So I've got 50 grams of that, 450 grams of my bread flour, and I'm just going to pour it all in. And it says using your hand, mix for 2 minutes. So here we go. Okay, now the recipe does say that it won't be, smooth by any means. It says there should be no dry flour patches, so there's not any dry flour, but the dough will not be smooth. So now what I'm going to do is cover it loosely with a damp tea towel and set aside for 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes has gone by. So now we are going to be adding in salt. So I've got my dough. It says it should be softer and less lumpy. Okay. So I need to add ground salt. So I have 10 grams of sea salt flakes ground. Mine's just already ground. And it just says, yeah, add the ground salt to the dough with 1 tablespoon of water. Okay. I've just got a tablespoon of water in here. And then using one hand, mix until combined, twisting and squelching the dough between your fingers. I guess like that. Twisting and squelching. I love that word. So I need to do this for about a minute. It says until smooth and the salt and water are thoroughly mixed in. That's been about a minute. All right. Now I just cover and leave it for another 30 minutes. This is going to be a long day. Until lighter and more elastic. All right. Another 30 minutes has passed. So there's our bread. It looks like it's slackened, so, that's probably good. Okay, now it says using a wet hand, so I just have a bowl of water sitting here. Pick up the top edge of the dough I guess just in the bowl. It doesn't say. Top edge, stretch it out and fold it over to meet the bottom edge. Okay. Turn the bowl through 90 degrees and clockwise. Does it really matter? Clockwise, anti-clockwise? And stretch and fold again. Okay. Repeat further 3 times, turning the bowl after each fold. Okay. So this is 1, 2, and this will be 3. Okay, there's my folded bread. Okay, cover and rest for another 30 minutes. Okay, we get to do that process again. So I'm just going to wet my hand again in my little bowl and just stretch and fold it. I think it said 5 times because it was like do it, turn it, fold it. Each 90-degree turns. Okay, and I'm going to do that another couple times. So I'll see you in 30 more minutes. Right, twist and fold number 3. Or stretch and fold, stretch and fold. $30 more minutes. Okay, last turn. This will be the 4th time that I am, stretching and turning, whatever the term is. Some of it's definitely more stretchy than other sides of it. But anyway, okay, so that was the 4th set of folds. So now I'm going to cover the bowl again, and I'm going to set it aside for 2 hours now. And it says until the dough has increased by at least 1/3 and air bubbles appear on the top and sides. So if air bubbles don't appear on the top and sides, I guess I'm in trouble. It does say if not, cover and leave for another 30 to 45 minutes. So this is anywhere from like 2 to almost 3 hours. So I'll see you in that time frame. Okay, everybody, it's been about 2.5 hours. All right, there is my dough. I'm not so good about the increased in size by 1/3. I think it has, it's increased. There are some bubbles forming. You see some bigger ones here, some smaller ones around the edges if you look really, really closely. I don't know how well you can see it in the camera, but there are some bubbles. I gave it till 2.5 hours just because I saw them at 2 hours, but they were pretty little. So I was like, I'm just going to give it a little bit more time. So more time can't hurt, right? So I very lightly dusted, so you could maybe see my very lightly floured work surface. And it says using a dough scraper, turn out the dough. I'm gonna assume that means I turn it upside down. See if I can get it so that you can see it. Okay. It's looking, it's holding together really well, which I don't know, I was kind of nervous about. So now it says using either the scraper or lightly floured hands. I'm just going to lightly flour my hands, so I left some flour up there. Form the dough into a smooth, tight ball, cupping the dough from the bottom and swiftly turning in anti-clockwise in a few moves as possible. I don't know if it really matters if it's clockwise or anti-clockwise, but cupping the dough, man, I should have put more flour down. It said very lightly, so I didn't want to overflour it. Okay, there we go. I can move it a little bit now. There we go. Is that what that means? It's anti-clockwise even. I managed to do that. Okay. A smooth, tight ball. Am I supposed to be tightening it somehow? Oh, okay. Cover with the upturned bowl and leave for another 20 minutes. This is totally going to stick to my counter. Okay, just push a little bit more flour under there. Okay, so cover with an upturned bowl and leave for another 20 minutes. Okay, while that's resting for the last minute here, there was an extra tablespoon of bread flour that I was supposed to mix with 1 tablespoon of rice flour. So I've got that in here. I'm not really sure why we keep using all these different kinds of flours in this recipe. It's a little annoying, but luckily I had most of them already just from my kitchen. So if you have one of those baskets, you're, I guess, supposed to use that. Banton. I don't have one. It says you can also use a cloth lined bowl. So I've just got my bowl here. It's just a ceramic bowl with a cloth lined in it. And I am just going to, it says to dust. Yeah. Dust the bantanin or the cloth lined bowl with the mixture. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to use all of this or if I'm just supposed to, sprinkle it. It doesn't really say. I guess I'm not really in my camera, am I? I feel like this is a lot of flour if I put all of it in there. I don't know. Anyway, okay, so that's ready to go. Now, it has been 20 minutes for this, so I'm going to reveal my blob. Okay. Okay, now I'm supposed to lightly dust the top of the dough with white flour. Okay. I've just been using my bread flour wherever it says white flour. So just note. Using the dough scraper, flip the ball over. It's not really a ball anymore. So that the floured side is on the work surface. Okay. Ooh. Let me get that floured up a little bit so that the floured side is on the work surface. Okay. It's not a ball anymore. Definitely not a ball. Lightly stretch out the edges of the dough. Okay, well, I'm going to try to get it into a circle because it says to try to picture the dough as a clock. Okay, so starting at 12 o'clock, pull the outside edge of the dough into the middle, making a 90-degree turn. I'm not turning. I don't know if I can turn it. I'm not going to turn it. I'm just going to visualize that and turn it. Okay, repeat 5 to 6 times until you have brought all the edges to the middle. Okay, so I'm just going to 90 degrees. So if I keep doing 90 degrees, I'm just going to do this. Is that what I'm supposed to do? I mean, it kind of looks like a circle. Okay, turn the ball over, smooth side up, and then cup your hands around the dough. Okay, and gently pull it toward you on the work surface to tighten the bottom. Okay. Sure. I mean, it looks pretty. Carefully, using the dough scraper, quickly but gently flip the dough over onto one hand and carefully lower it into the prepared bowl. Okay, dough scraper quickly but gently, like this, and flip it over onto your hand and carefully lower it, rounded smooth side down. So I'm supposed to put the smooth side down, like that, I think. Okay. Cover with a bag or shower cap and leave to rest for 30 to 45 minutes. I've had some success with just putting them in like a large Ziploc bag because I don't have a shower cap. I guess I could buy some, but no. Anyway, so I'll put it in my bag and then I'm going to let it rest for 30 to 45 minutes just on my counter, I guess. And then after that, transfer it into the fridge to slowly prove overnight. Now, I'm just going to give you guys a heads up. It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon here. So if I let this slowly prove overnight, it's going to be proving for like 18 hours. That's just what it says. I started when it says. So if I wait till tomorrow morning to bake this, it's going to be 18 hours of proving in the fridge. So there we go. See you tomorrow morning. Good morning, everybody. So my sourdough has been proving overnight in the fridge. I'll tell you right now, it doesn't look like it's risen at all. I don't know. Okay. So it does say, so it says when you're ready to bake, heat the oven up to 240 degrees Celsius or as hot as your oven will go. Um, I am still breaking in my new oven, so I'm not actually sure how hot it will go. I think it'll go up to 500, but I'm going to choose 475 because 240 is 465 in Fahrenheit. So I just went with 475. It's probably fine. I just didn't want to break my new oven. Okay. And then you're supposed to place a Dutch oven or a cast iron casserole or a baking stone in the oven to heat up for 45 minutes. I don't have a Dutch oven. Okay. And I was doing a lot of research last night on to figure out what is the best like thing to replace a Dutch oven to make sourdough bread in. And so I thought about my casserole dish because this says casserole. But I think it's too shallow. I don't know that it's, tall enough for the rise on the bread. And then I also have a pizza stone, okay? But I also don't know if that is the right one to use because I don't have a lid for it. And the lid has been a pretty big feature that everybody says. And so I've settled on this. Okay, I have a roasting pan with a lid. It's pretty deep. Some of you are probably crying right now saying, don't do that. It is what it is. It's deep. It's got a lid. I have not heated it up clearly because it's metal and it'll heat up really fast. So I'm not really worried about the heating up of the oven in the 45 minutes. I know the Dutch oven is not as quick to heat up. So I know I'm trying to follow these recipes as to the T as I can, but these are my slight adjustments because of my lack of materials. So let's get this guy out of the bag. Okay. All right. So he looks good. I mean, like I said, he didn't really rise. So, all right. So move the bag or shower cap and then lay a piece of baking paper on top. Place a baking sheet. Okay. Baking sheet on top and flip the bread out onto the paper. Okay. Okay. That's a lot of flour on there. I was kind of afraid of that when I was putting it on, that it was going to be too much flour. But it just said to spread it on there. Okay, now using a lame or a very sharp knife, shockingly enough, I don't have a lame, cut a slash across the dough about 1 centimeter deep and a 45-degree angle. I don't know, I'm just going to go what I've seen other people do with their sourdoughs. So 1 centimeter deep. Obviously, my knife is not as sharp as it should be. It will split open on its own if not, right? Carefully remove the very hot pan from the oven. Again, I did not heat mine up because it's metal. And gently lift the dough on the baking paper and lower it into the pan. So leaving the baking paper here, that's what it sounds like. Sorry. Cover with the lid and bake for 30 minutes until the bread has risen dramatically, which I also just think is funny because how am I supposed to know that the bread has risen dramatically? There's a lid on it. Most Dutch ovens that I've seen have a covered lid as well, so you can't see inside there. Anyway, so risen dramatically and started to turn golden. So I will see you in 30 minutes to the best of my ability. Okay, that's my timer for 30 minutes. So now what I'm going to do is take the lid off the bread and cook it for another 10 minutes. Oh, look at that. That's pretty cool. Okay, that was my timer. Let's see if it's good. Okay, it's definitely looking deeply golden. I did leave it in there for 2 extra minutes. I had it in 12 minutes after I took the lid off, and it looks good. I mean, I probably could leave it in there another couple minutes because I know some people really brown their sourdough. But it's a deep golden brown. It looks like it has a crisp crust to me. So I'm going to let that be. It looks good. I'm actually so far pleasantly surprised with my little pan. So I'm going to remove the bread from the pan and leave it to cool on a wire rack. And then once it's cool, I'll slice it and we'll take a peek inside. All right, I cut my bread open. It's cool, so I'm just going to give you guys a look. Okay, there's what it looks like inside. So it's got some nice big air pockets. Um, it's a little dense, so I'm not sure if I just didn't bake it long enough or just, like I said, it just didn't prove very much in the fridge. So I don't know. We'll see how it tastes though. But I do like the color. The color is really good. The crust is kind of crispy, so that's nice. Let's give it a taste. I cut myself a little piece. That's good flavor to it. And the crust does have a nice crisp to it, so that's nice. But yeah, it's just a little dense for me. I don't think that's normally what sourdough does. So I think mine just didn't rise or prove as much as it should. It's my first attempt, so I'll call that a win. Because it does taste good. So there we go. All right. That is my latest bake on my Great British Baking Show cookbook, Love to Bake. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and then subscribe so that you can see my next video. Because yeah, I'm cruising right along. But anyway, thanks for joining me on my sourdough journey. I will see you next bake.